If you haven't seen the previous video in this series, follow the link on your screen or click the link in the description or pinned comment below. Wait. I already did Scream 2. You gotta do another one because the people have already seen this one. Aw, damn. I had a cool intro where Jada Pinkett Shakur dies and everything. Yep, been there, done that. Okay, how about Scream 3? Nope, copyright claimed. That CinemaSins video doesn't exist on the internet. Okay, Scream 4? I'm currently working on that one myself. Fine, let's do Scream. The fifth one.
40 seconds of 2 logos.
It's actually 38 seconds of logos? I thought rounding up was a sin.
Tara tells Amber her f***ing landline won't stop ringing, and Amber asks, is Wes still bugging you? And I'm like, why would a guy who has a crush on you call the f***ing landline? Is he a robocaller?
Yep, you're showing your age. Wes clearly got blocked on the smartphone, so they're assuming he's using the landline instead. The real sin is using a landline in 2022.
What's your favorite scary movie?
The Babadook. It's an amazing meditation on motherhood and grief.
F***ing what? I mean, the analysis is spot on, but who the f*** talks this way? Especially to a stranger.
I know, it's ridiculous, right? But not quite as ridiculous as that laugh.
Would you like to play a game, Tara?
It's hard to understand why the killers in these movies are so beholden to the classic Scream structure. It has never worked out for anybody in these movies. But these killers keep reading about the Woodsboro murders and watching stab movies, and they think this is the best course of action every single time. They keep telling themselves, maybe this time it'll be different.
If you subscribe to the notion that the phone calls unsettle the victim to the point they make silly mistakes and that it gives Ghostface time to get into position, it totally works.
Ask me about It Follows. Ask me about Hereditary. Ask me about The Witch.
Trying to dictate the questions a murderer asks and finding any reason to slip in your horror snobbery.
Sure, it does sound like snobbery when you remove the scene from its context. Earlier, we were made aware that Tara is a fan of actually good horror movies. This means she doesn't watch schlock horror films that come out in January. Which is a little awkward when talking about this film, but stick with me here. Her point was that she doesn't watch bad movies, and Ghostface was asking her questions about movies she hadn't seen.
A non-answer counts as a wrong answer, Tara.
Cheating!
Wouldn't considering a non-answer as a correct answer be considered cheating, though?
This is a clever and suspenseful tactic, but it's also a computers can be f***ed with and conveniently circumvented whenever it's needed for the plot cliche. My hands are tied.
But you could always just ding the ding and not raise the sin counter, though.
Calling the 5th movie in your franchise Scream when 5 Cream was on the table. But seriously, quit calling sequels the same goddamn thing as the first film in your franchise. Do you want another confusing franchise like Halloween? Because this is how you get ants. I mean another confusing franchise like Halloween.
So I'm writing this video after, but releasing it before the next video in this series, and in that video I agree with Jeremy on this concept. So the sin here isn't for my own anachronisms, it's for suggesting 5 Cream would be a good title for this film when Scream 5 was right there.
Wait, hey. I'm going with you.
It is of extreme importance that Richie goes with Sam for the rest of the movie for everything to go according to plan. What if Sam refuses to let him come with her? In fact, since Sam and Tara aren't on the best of terms, what if Sam just said f*** it and didn't go herself? There are easier ways to set all this up without relying on all this coincidence, but Scream 5 said, f*** it, we're doing it live!
Bill O'Reilly.
Is that Vince?
Vince is Liv's stalker who just so happens to make his first public stalking appearance the day after Tara's almost murdered, so that we, the audience, can have a suspect that will almost certainly cancel out immediately.
I think the filmmakers are smart enough to know that no one who is watching the 5th film in this franchise will think the stalker is the killer. It's always someone in the friend group, and in the case of Scream 3, the film group.
Probably time to introduce him to Hobbs and Shaw.
Naming your arms after a weak spin-off of a tired franchise.
Jeremy inadvertently sends TV sins.
And every decade or so, some idiot gets the bright idea to put on the mask, kill his friends, and get famous too.
Every decade? The first 3 Scream films take place in a window of like 4 years, and Scream 4 happened roughly a decade after the last movie, but it was the only time a full decade had passed until now. I know that's a huge nitpick, but try to get it right, assholes.
I'm pretty sure Sam is referring to the murders that happened in Woodsboro, which were from 1996 to 2011, and then from 2011 to 2021. Scream 2 takes place in Ohio, and Scream 3 takes place in Los Angeles.
Look, guys, it's one thing for a demonic spirit in a horror movie to run past the camera so the audience will be disturbed of their presence. They're evil spirits. They don't know any better. It's completely another when a totally human killer does it for absolutely no goddamn reason.
But in the diegetic perspective, there is no camera, and Ghostface is just running behind this dude to get into position for a kill.
That's you, pretty boy!
This fucking guy. I like Kyle Gallner, but why is this character? Yeah, he ends up being related to Stu Macher, but they could have just as easily had one of the friend group be related to Stu. You'll never convince me this character wasn't thrown in for any other reason other than an extra kill to add to the count. This is the most pointless killing in a slasher film since Johnny Galecki and I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Isn't that like par for the course in these movies? I mean, why the heck did Tatum have to die in the original? She had the best breasts in the franchise.
What are you watching?
Stabs on Netflix.
Watching a movie on your phone.
Which is an incredibly valid thing to do. I mean, what do you watch on the treadmill? Oh.
Ah, sudden skeet! Also fine, she's Billy Loomis's daughter, I don't care. But what I do care about is that anyone thought having this Billy Ghost around was a good idea.
I don't know, man. It worked out pretty well for the next two movies. My only problem is that they didn't use good de-aging technology on Skeet. Man looks his age.
Mom was dating Dad, but she was in love with this other guy, and he got her pregnant.
That other guy is Billy Loomis, who, come on. Billy died in 1996, even if he impregnated his side piece in late 1996 while planning the Woodsboro murders, and Sam was born in 1997, this doesn't work. Sam left 5 years ago at the age of 18 on her birthday, according to the obvious killer, Amber. It's currently September of 2021, since we saw the date on the portable phone earlier, and it's been a decade since 2011. So if she's 23 in late 2021, that means the earliest she could have been born was 1998.
I love the math you did there. I really do. Because you're right. However, the sin here is for suggesting Amber is the obvious killer. I know you like to pretend you're more observant than you are, but I don't think there is anyone that pegged Amber at this point in the film. I mean, I hate the fact that Amber even is the killer. Mikey Madsen is 5'3". In what universe is this chick not visibly short enough that she's immediately outed as Ghostface? And the fact that she's like 115 pounds tops but goes toe-to-toe with a trained male police officer. Frankly, Chucky is more believable.
It doesn't freak you out that my real father was a serial killer?
Not when you're hot.
Jeremy yells at the Scream cliche. Also, no woman is hot enough when her dad is a serial killer. Imagine bringing her home too late.
Something about this one just feels different.
It's not.
He says, even though Dewey dies in this one.
You go on 4chan and dread it. All they're talking about is how Stab 8 pissed on their childhoods.
In this world, Rian Johnson directs Stab 8, the same chapter of Star Wars he did. Any toxic fan base in this universe trashed it as it did in ours. It's a whole scene dedicated to explaining why this movie is pretty much the same as the previous chapters, while adding things that appear new to make it seem fresh. But in the process of doing the same old you just end up disappointing the fan base anyway, who endlessly compare the new movie to the ones they cherish. Why not do some hold-on maneuvers? Do some real damage.
I get the connections you just tried to make, but unlike The Last Jedi, this movie was very well received by critics and the audience. So it appears you were just trying to let us know about the Rian Johnson connection, I guess. What I'm saying is this was a waste of our time.
You can't just reboot a franchise from scratch anymore. The fans won't stand for it. Black Christmas, Child's Play, Flatliners.
Calling Black Christmas or Flatliners a franchise.
Even if I granted you the ridiculousness that 2 Flatliner movies don't make up a franchise, there are 3 Black Christmas films. How the hell can you justify 3 movies not being a franchise?
Dewey is giving Sam this look implying she could be the killer, but she has already established herself to Dewey as the Sydney character in this story. Anyway, I don't believe for a second he would suspect her, so why is this look?
After 5 of these damn incidents, you would think you'd grant Dewey some leeway. He's gotten fooled, maimed, or hospitalized by every single one of the killers up to that point. If I were Dewey, I wouldn't trust my reflection.
I like daylight horror as much as anyone, but the idea that no one sees this happening is ludicrous. The loud police sirens on the drive up to the house would have gotten at least a few of the neighbors' attention.
But what indication does the film give you that no one sees this? Isn't that an assumption?
Is the killer going to be behind the door when Wes closes it? No. Is the killer going to be behind the refrigerator door when he closes it? No. You see, new and fun stuff like that is how you make your mark on the Scream franchise, giving nothing to the people who are expecting something.
Wait, aren't you the same guy that got upset that Halloween 2018 wasn't as suspenseful as you wanted it to be? Trust me, this end will make sense when you guys see the next video.
The organization of this freezer is a nightmare. There's a Choco Taco box.
Skip!
And don't even get me started on Ghostface's signature new weapon.
People who make a living tearing movies apart on YouTube.
Sinning yourself, which is my job.
Also, did the real-life Stu Macher survive? It's just an innocuous conspiracy theory YouTube video, right? Couldn't possibly be a hint at a future Scream plotline, right?
Since I'm making this video in 2023, I have the knowledge of the future, and no, That didn't happen. Unless, of course, they do that for Scream 7, in which case I'd much prefer if they actually bring back Angelina than Stu.
Also, Tara is watching an episode of Dawson's Creek called The Scare, and it's an episode that directly references the 1996 Scream, along with I Know What You Did Last Summer, and many other horror films. But Scream would not exist within this universe, since these are the Scream films we're watching. So how in the f*** would this episode of Dawson's Creek exist within this universe? This is like that Time Cop moment where both of the Ron Silvers meet and start melting into each other, and this scene does not contain a Ron Silver melting.
Do you honestly believe this wasn't done on purpose? Movies do this all the time. It's called a nod. This same thing happened in Into the Spider-Verse, where they acknowledged Donald Glover's scene as Spider-Man in Community, which wouldn't make sense considering Peter Parker was a real person in that universe, and in the Community episode, Peter was a comic book character. Then on top of that, Donald Glover appeared as the Prowler in the sequel.
It's incredible how many times Tara's been scared by a phone ringing.
In this franchise, I don't think that's incredible at all.
For anyone that was wondering how Ghostface activated a voice box while in costume, and to be clear, no one was f***ing wondering this, and why would the killer ever turn it off while in costume? Also, this is one of those annoying details added in a movie that some people actually blame us for. So here's a sin to thinking a silly comedic YouTube channel could affect the way a script is written for a valuable franchise property.
Is that another humble brag? I mean, come on, CinemaSins is a huge YouTube channel, and it's not like big YouTube channels are unknown in the film space.
Speaking of JLC, did you see that video where she and the Daniels were talking about us? Play that, Ian. Play that.
Sometimes we like to leave mistakes for the fans. So
okay, well, I was just wondering.
Yeah, exactly.
I will be quiet.
We kept telling
Oh, is that why our movie looks like that?
Yeah.
Mistakes for the fans.
For the fans. I love when
I didn't know.
you know that YouTube channel, like what is it, Movie Sins or whatever?
Where we
CinemaSins.
Oh, I love CinemaSins.
I hate it.
we like to leave things in for them, just to make sure we want our CinemaSins to be very long.
Yeah.
Lots of things for them to call
So
out.
some smug guy can be like, the clock is different.
But didn't you guys literally get into a spat with the director for Kong Skull Island? Why do you pretend you have no effect when you clearly do?
Sure, when I'm about to murder someone, I always get distracted by my phone. Distracted murdering accounted for a whopping 175% loss in productivity last year, and it's getting worse. Looking at the graph,
All this goofy shit over this iconic scene.
also part of me wants to remove a sin for these directors having the balls to kill a character that has survived 7 of these goddamn killers already, but then to realize that of all the killers, f***ing Amber is the one that gets him really kind of ruins the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I just can't see a chick that isn't even tall enough to buy drinks at 7-Eleven overpowering a 5'11" man that was formerly a police officer. Like, is no one else bothered by these height differences? The other killer is 6'1". He's almost literally a foot taller than his accomplice. How is no one noticing this shit in universe?
An hour and 8 minutes to bring Sidney Prescott back into a Scream film.
Wait until you see Scream 6. That one takes a whole contract dispute.
I tried running too. It doesn't work. It always follows.
So wait, is Sidney saying this is a low-key sequel to It Follows?
No, she's not. Moving on.
Since we know that Amber was the one in the Ghostface outfit when Dewey shot her, how did she make a recovery so quick that she's hosting a party, walking around like she doesn't have any bullet wounds? Did that just not happen because she survived? Granted, we don't know how much time has passed since the hospital incident, but it can't be a recover from bullet wounds length of time. I guess she could have been wearing a bulletproof vest, but we never see one, and Scream movies love showing off those bulletproof vests when they're in play.
We never saw she had on a bulletproof vest? Well, then what the hell was this?
You know what else you shouldn't do when there's a masked killer around?
What?
Follow someone into a dark, creepy basement alone.
But the basement wasn't dark and creepy anymore when Misty came down. It was light and creepy. You turned the light on when you got to the fridge. This isn't the admonishment you think it is.
Cool. Who the hell is Misty?
How do you know I'm not the killer?
How does anyone not know she's the killer? She has, from the second time her phone was used/cloned, been the most likely suspect. These new characters might be fun, but they're also very stupid.
Again, she is 5'3". Even if I granted her a few inches in boots, she was standing eye to eye with Dewey in their fight scene. Anyone watching this movie that suspected Amber was just throwing names out there and got lucky.
Wanna go upstairs?
Don't take this the wrong way, but I think I have to pass on that.
Dude, Ghostface kills when wearing the suit, not when naked and having sex. At least, not that we've ever seen.
But we did see Stu barge in on Billy and Sydney after doing the deed, so still counts.
Don't do it. Don't go outside after her.
Considering Chad turned down sex with Liv because he felt the safest option was to be downstairs around all the people, why would he go outside, where no one is, to look for Liv? If you were going to do this, you should have just had the sex, Chad. I'm almost willing to send the fact that you don't end up dying in this installment.
Wait until you see the next film. Nobody dies.
You're just gonna sit here and watch a movie about our uncle getting stabbed?
For the record, Randy was shot in the first Scream film, which is what the first Stab film is based on. He was stabbed and killed in Scream 2. So this sin is either for the first stab film not being accurate, or it's a sin for Chad not knowing what really happened to his uncle, or Mindy not correcting him. Let's just skip 2 and move on.
There's another or here. Or they're marathoning the stab films and he's referring to when they get to the second movie.
I'll go in quickly and get it. I'll be back in 5.
So nobody called Amber on the way here to make sure Tara's inhaler was ready? I know she's a murdering psychopath, but they don't know that.
I mean, Richie literally does know that.
You're in Stu Mocker's house where your dad and Stu killed everyone. Someone planned to get you there. You need to get the f*** out, Sam.
This is a perfectly fine idea for a setting at the end of a Scream sequel, but it's a ridiculous reveal. There's no way none of the non-killers weren't aware of this until now. Mindy would 100% know that Amber lives in this infamous house.
I'm almost positive Sam would not know this, considering she's not related to Stu and she left Woodsboro a long time ago specifically to forget the fact that she was related to Billy. Tara literally told us in the beginning that she had never seen the stab films to the point that she was unaware there were 2 killers, so how would she know?
What did you do to her?
What the f***?
Someone in a Ghostface outfit just left this room, somehow found a private area, pulled the costume off, and came back to make it appear they weren't the killer. And I can't prove that you can't do that, but that constant putting on and pulling off of the outfit has to be goddamn exhausting, right?
So the sin is for tiredness?
There are always 2 killers.
Well, only 4/5 of the time. I mean, that's probably close enough, but close enough isn't good enough for the Sins brand, Richie. Thanks for trying, maybe next time.
Damn that. Angelina was the accomplice in Scream 3. That's my sin and I'm sticking to it.
Sydney has no idea if someone innocent is hiding in this closet, but shoots a bullet into it anyway.
Well, it is Sydney freaking Prescott. She's been screwed over so many times, I don't blame her for shooting into the blind. If I were her, I wouldn't trust a closet either. Or people that draft contracts.
Oh, this isn't Amber. I'm the other one.
This seems like a weird thing for Richie to say, since Sydney would have 0 clue who Amber is.
Did you forget that Amber just put a bullet in Gale? Now, I know we live in a time where just having the name Amber doesn't mean you're a 5'3" girl, but I think in this instance, it's safe to say it was the chick shooting at her.
I mean, what the f***, Sydney?
Yelling at the screen cliche.
I can't believe this worked.
Serial killer would be amazing at CinemaSins. Wait.
Ah, that's why your fans are raving lunatics.
It really was the best choice for the movie.
Let's talk about how impossible it is that Richie and Amber are the killers by taking it back to the first scene where Tara was on the phone with Richie, who was showing live video of Amber on the phone call. Richie was with Sam that night. He told Dewey this in front of her and she didn't object.
I do enjoy the acceptance of he was with Sam that night, as if this franchise hadn't already pulled this stunt before. Remember Casey Becker? When Stu and Billy killed her, Tatum backed up the claim that Stu was with her at the time of the murder, which we know was impossible. So my point is, it's possible Richie linked up with Sam later as an alibi, the same thing Stu did in the original.
Your daughter with Billy Loomis who sees f***ed up visions of her dead dad?
Did Sam tell Richie about her visions? I'm pretty sure she told everyone about Billy being her dad, but nothing about Skeet Ulrich in a rearview mirror.
Since Richie was the ghost face that attacked her at the hospital, he clearly overheard her talking to her dad in the scene she was hallucinating. He also knows she takes antipsychotics.
Wasn't that hard for me to find you in Modesto?
And apparently it wasn't that hard to get her to like you either. This whole plan relies on Richie being so irresistible that Sam starts dating him. What was the plan if she didn't?
I mean, he's 6'1", handsome, and white. And if dating apps are anything to go by, the real question you should be asking is why doesn't he have all the hoes?
Tara's plan is to hit Amber over the head with a crutch. And then what? You're putting everyone in the kitchen in danger by doing this, and you've already seen how Amber took several bullets and survived earlier.
Frankly, I don't even think you saw that scene, considering you think she actually got shot there. Seriously, nobody laughs like this.
Movie took out Jasmine Savoy Brown for the whole climax when they should have let her stay conscious that whole time and be awesome and do Jasmine Savoy Brown stuff.
What the hell was this? I mean, she's incredibly hot and should probably DM me on Instagram, but you talk like she's some extremely accomplished actor that's too good for this movie or something.
The reveal that Chad is alive shows how terrible Amber and Richie were at killing people.
I almost hit you with a, wait, what was that? At the hilarious attempt at pronouncing the word were, but I'm far more distracted by the fact you think Amber was terrible at killing people. I remind you, she went toe-to-toe with Dewey and won. This role should have been played by Emily Mortimer.
Gotcha. Gotcha.